About 13 years ago, I was living in Baltimore. I was trying to get my opera singing career off the ground. I had a friend there, so I moved to Baltimore. I was singing there and up in Wilmington, Delaware. And I text one of my old friends that I had known since I was 20. He had been traveling around the world singing with the tour Phantom of the Opera. And so I texted him to see where he was and to tell him that I was in Baltimore, and he said, "I'm in Baltimore." I was like, "Well, we haven't lived in the same city for 12 years. That's pretty cool." And so we started becoming closer friends again, having not seen each other in a while. And eventually, we decided to move up to Philadelphia. We had been traveling between Baltimore and New York City for auditions and trying to make that work. And so Philly wasn't as expensive as New York City, but would get us closer so that we could travel cheaper and all these wonderful things. So I moved to Philly. I had a full-time job. I was traveling up for all these auditions in New York City. And then I joined one of the largest co-ed intramural softball leagues in the country. Yes, you can laugh at that. I think I've told you a few times about my prowess at athletics, and you're still correct. But it was fun. That's not the point that I was going into this intramural club. It was to make new friends, get to know new people. And so I'm in Philly, an exciting city, a job, auditioning, singing wherever I can, friends. And I remember contemplating and thinking, something's missing. What am I not doing? I mean, I am busy all the time with work or with friends or whatever it might be. I can't get any more in my life. What am I missing? And so, one day I'm looking online, and for some reason, God, I will tell you that I Googled the best Episcopal choir in Philadelphia. Who knew? And it turned out that it was 6 blocks away from me. It's called St. Mark's. It's right across the street from the Curtis Institute of Music. Not a bad place to be. And so it had been a few years since I had been in a church. It had been a while since I had been in one like St. Mark's. And so I remember going early one Sunday, and I came in, and St. Mark's is a little dark. I sat in one of the pews, and I knelt on one of the kneelers, and I bowed my head, and I started to pray, and little tears started to come out my eyes. And it was like I heard a voice that just said, "Welcome home. You're supposed to be here." I don't know how, through all the jumbling of my life, all the noise that was going on, that I felt that something was missing, and it got me to St. Mark's. I certainly didn't know it was going to bring me here. When I look at this gospel, I would like for us, for a moment, to put ourselves in the position of the disciples. Let's do a quick recap. So they had been called by Jesus, followed Jesus, listened to Jesus' teachings, taught with Jesus. They had gone through Palm Sunday and then praying in Gethsemane. And then the crowd comes of soldiers, and they take Jesus away. They see the trial. They see the persecution. They see Jesus on the cross. They wait 3 days, and all of a sudden, he's risen. Then they see him 2 more unexpected times just showing up in the upper room where they were. Now, if I put myself even a little bit in the position of the disciples, to say that I might have been overstimulated or a little bombarded with a lot of different emotions, I think would probably agree that we could understand that from the disciples. Seeing things that you would never imagine that you had seen, and not in a long period of time, in a short period of time, one thing after another. And so what do they decide to do? They decide to go fishing. We can look at that and we can think, well, why fishing? Oh, well, that's what they used to do. That's where Jesus called them. They were fishing. It was what was comfortable. It was where they could recenter themselves, breathe, come back and reset. And then with the resetting, they see someone on the shore. Do you have any fish? I need you to feed my sheep. Follow me. Today, in our world, to say that we can get overstimulated or bombarded with completely different emotions all the time, maybe we're consumed with world news. I wouldn't suggest looking at it often. But beyond that, we talk about it all the time on the island. Maybe another development is showing up. There's always the traffic. But maybe it's just life. Maybe it's work, family, friends. Who knows where all of this stimuli and all this emotion is coming in. We need to take the time maybe to get a little quiet. Maybe to rely on that prayer life that we've had before, maybe still have today, or just working on for the future. Maybe to still our minds, allow us to breathe, and to listen to that still, small voice. Follow me. You know, it's Easter. It's a very joyful time of the year for the church. And one of the things that what represents it is the Paschal candle being lit, representing Jesus coming back and being the light of the world in our hearts. I was thinking this morning, the light is always there, but the noise that is going on around us, how easy is it to just ignore that light sometimes? Look to the side and say, I have too much going on. But you know what helps that little candle, that light, to get even brighter? Oxygen, breath, centering, relying on that voice that is going to tell you, I am with you. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I want you to feed my sheep, and I want you to follow me. Now, following me might mean very different things to different people. It might mean following from your home, spiritually and emotionally, praying and sending your light out into the world as much as you can in that situation. It might mean sending it in the community at large. It might mean going to a different county or a different state. How you follow Christ and where you are going to be sent by Christ to feed sheep and to touch people is different for everyone's situation. But if we can drown out the noise. And it's hard to drown out the noise. If we can get the noise out of our minds, maybe even from our own heads. Maybe our own worry, maybe we're putting those thoughts in our minds. I know I am. But stilling your mind, allowing yourself to listen, to really hear that small, sweet voice. This week, and moving forward, I hope that we can remember that all the noise that's going on is just noise. And that the light of Christ burns so bright in you. So give it some oxygen. Let it brighten up. Breathe and still those noises. And listen to that still, small voice. Follow me. Amen.